call the Wednesday, July 15th Town Board meeting to order. Would the best police chief this side of the Never Sink River lead us in the pledge, please?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first order of business tonight is a continuation of the public hearing for the Empress Zone change from HR to B, section block and lot number 17-1-30.1 /31. Paula, can you please read the...
Legal notice, Town of Fallsburg, notice of public hearing. Notice of public hearing is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Fallsburg will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, July 15, 2026, shortly after 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as a hearing may be convened at the Town Hall Meeting Room at 19 Railroad Plaza, South Fallsburg, New York, 12779. Town of Fallsburg Local Law Number 4 of 2026. A local law amending the zoning map of the Town of Fallsburg to change the zoning designation of SBL 17-1-30.1 and 17-1-31 from HR Hamlet Residential to Business Zone Area. The proposed local law seeks to amend official zoning map of the Town of Fallsburg to change the zoning designation of parcels identified as SBL 17-1-30.1 and 17-1-31 commonly associated with the Empress from the HR Zone District to Business Zone Area. Copies of the local law described above are the file in the Town Clerk's office of the Town of Fallsburg, where the same are available for public inspection during regular office hours. Please take notice that all interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard on proposed local law at that public hearing. Should you have any questions in this regard, please feel free to contact the Town of Fallsburg Town Clerk, and then my number and all the information about Zoom and have you.
motion to open the public hearing.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, anyone here to speak on the Empress Zone change?
I don't have anybody on the list for that.
Do we have any correspondence?
Well, no, we're not there yet.
No, on that.
Oh, not on this, no, maybe not. Sorry.
Anybody online?
Sorry.
Anybody online like to speak on the public hearing for the zone change for the Empress?
Richard, are we gonna leave this open, or?
No, close it and vote on it. We've already brought this up in the meeting before, at the same time we did clean up of the district.
Okay.
So the local law to
Motion close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is closed. Okay, next we have the supervisor's report. So the hot topic in Fallsburg is obviously our water situation. There's a lot of misinformation out there about why there is water shortages. Obviously, there are water shortages. It is not our water that is in the ground, it's our ability to deliver it. We've been plagued with different unfortunate situations, from water main breaks to power outages. When the problem first developed, we decided to have a meeting, which was last Monday, like an emergency meeting to figure out what the next few days would be like, what procedures we would put in place. And then last Thursday, we had a second meeting that talked more about the long-term solutions to these problems. In that meeting, we had Eric Ball, who is Josh Riley from Congressman Josh Riley's office, and Assemblywoman Paula Kay was not there, but was also involved in trying to get funding for us. We have roughly 70 miles of underground water mains. Much of it is very old. It's roughly $2 million a mile to replace. We have an engineered plan that is already finished from our engineer, Ken Ellsworth, to start replacing this fall from where our water, our wells are, to basically Stewart's, the first part of the project. Whether we get money or not, I believe this entire board, I know I am convinced that we can't delay the start of this rehab of our water main project. We would replace mostly 8-inch lines with 12-inch modern pipes that will lower the actual pressure because the pipes are larger, which is the cause of many of our breaks. So our plan is to start. I'm hoping we'll get some funding. The way it works is if you put a shovel in the ground and start a project and you don't have the funding that's committed, you don't get the funding. So what we decided to do is, instead of doing 1 or 2 20 million projects, we broke them into much smaller projects. So I know from most of our discussions that this board is comfortable starting a $3 to $6 million roughly project, whether we get funding or not. Hopefully we'll get the funding. We're in the final stages with Congressman Riley. It just needs the president's approval basically to get a few $1 million, but we're going to start this fall with that replacement, which would hopefully make next summer much more manageable. We thought we were in good shape. Tomorrow, or actually tonight, starts the 9 days, a Jewish holiday where typically water usage goes down dramatically. We were hoping to recover quite a bit of water in our tanks after the start of this holiday. And unfortunately, we had a water main break late last night that was not discovered until this morning and lost roughly 250 to 300,000 gallons in the Fallsburg area, which is why many residents are out of water. That break has been isolated as soon as we found it, and now we're in the process of our tanks recovering, and we're hopeful that with this low usage period starting tonight that we'll be in good shape for the rest of the summer. But, you know, again, we've been plagued with power outages and breaks that are out of our control, and you know, let's be hopeful that the rest of the summer we'll be able to survive. So one way or the other, we're going to start this project, and we're hoping that that will, you know, really help. That is it for the supervisor's report. Up next, we have citizens' comments. Paula.
First I have Stan Wagner, but if you wanted to ask questions about that, I can put you on the list here, okay? So go ahead, Stan.
Okay. Good evening. An issue came to light during the June 29th special planning board meeting regarding the YKS bungalow site. The entire accessibility discussion, which buildings need to be accessible, how many, whether 40 Church Road is ADA compliant throughout, was conducted as if the American with Disabilities Act applies to this site at all. Nobody raised a more basic question, does it? The ADA contains a well-established exemption for religious organizations and the facilities they control. If this site is operated by a religious institution, as it appears to be, the ADA doesn't apply here at all. Yet code enforcement said some buildings need it, that's not applicable, period. So when the code enforcement officer told the board not every building has to be ADA compliant, he was answering the wrong question, and nobody caught it, not the chairman, the town attorney, or the applicant's engineers. Here's why this matters. New York State's own accessibility code, under the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code, has no religious exemption. It's often stricter than the ADA, and it applies regardless of whether or not the facility is religious. The people evaluating this site thought in ADA terms instead of New York State accessibility codes. This is not a one-time mistake specific to this address. It's a failure in how the code enforcement office and the planning board evaluate accessibility, period. This raises the questions of how many other religious institutions, camps, bungalow colonies, and assembly spaces across this town have been inspected, approved under the same misunderstanding, if at all, when it comes to accessibility. This board now knows something it didn't know before tonight, that prior approvals on this site were based on information from a code enforcement officer that was legally wrong. That's on the record now, in this meeting, in front of this board. Once you understand this, continuing to rely on these improper approvals without going back to check them isn't an oversight anymore. It's a choice. I'm asking the town to review recent occupancy and accessibility approvals for religious or assembly use properties to confirm that the correct New York State codes were actually used, and to ensure that Church Road be re-inspected utilizing the proper state accessibility codes. This is what the code enforcement officer is supposed to enforce. If this gap exists in one application, it most likely exists in others. I'd rather the town find that out through its own review than through a complaint, an injury, or a state or federal inquiry down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll send you the file.
Mary Ann?
Hi, I just have a question, how, I don't know if you can answer, but how do you even find leaks? Like, how does that even happen?
So-
That you would even discover a leak?
So a severe leak, like what happened last night, just comes out of the ground. Enough water is lost and there's enough pressure and volume that it formed a river.
Okay.
And, but smaller leaks, like one leak that plagued us last year that we found, was leaking under State Route 42, and actually the water was leaking into a culvert pipe and winding up in the lake, and it could have been like. In that case, we have a leak detection company that has listening devices and other methods that we had go through our entire system last year.
Also, there's usage, they'll read the meters in some of the places. They'll see a spike, something that's not natural, and they'll backtrack and try and isolate. So that's another way.
Great.
That's
Thank
true.
you.
And one other thing with regard to what Arnold said, which is accurate, one of the emergency methods or ideas that we put in place is we started going through water bills from larger users in the town, and anybody that was using far more water than they did in previous years, we approached and in a couple of cases found large leaks that were not in the town side of the system, but in the private side, and in one case it resulted in that customer being shut off. So, you know, we are taking drastic measures, we're taking it seriously, but water meters and, you know, there's other methods also, so.
And how many miles of pipes do we have?
We have roughly 70
Miles.
miles of underground water main. Right,
Great. Thank you so much.
thank you.
I have a public comment. I mean, correspondence, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No.
Nobody else want to speak? Signed up?
Oh, just with a question, I live in Timberhill Lane.
I'm sorry, can you state your name?
Oh, Judy Heaney, Heaney.
Thank you.
Some of the houses on that street, were affected by the, water.
La Vista?
Yeah,
La Vista.
the Livingston Timberhill Lane, outage. And, I wanted to know why certain houses were affected, rather than the whole, street. I'm not sure how water is distributed, and also why there was a requirement to boil the water, whereas in the past, when there's conservation of water
Thank you.
usage
Thank
because
you.
of drought, that was never required.
So to start, unfortunately, La Vista, because of its proximity to where the water is produced in our wells, it's one of the furthest areas away from where the water is being pumped and the elevation. So La Vista is one of the most problematic areas of the town for water pressure and water volume. One of the plans that's part of our improvement for the fall is we're adding a well near where the Raleigh Hotel used to be, and we're in talks with a couple private communities that might have wells on La Vista. That feeds the La Vista water tank. If that water tank is full, which right now it's almost empty, there's no problems with pressure. That's the first part of your question. The second part with the water boil alert, we have a town resident, somebody that lives in the town, that is also works for our health department. He took readings at his house, and with mathematical computations of he lives down below La Vista, he figured out what his pressure was and what the pressure would be due to the elevation at the top of La Vista, and determined that based on what his pressure was, the pressure at the top of La Vista would be under 20 pounds per square inch. If the pressure ever gets in the town system below 20 PSI, the state demands that you issue a boil water alert. The reason why is if our pressure in our system is low, it could allow water to backfeed into the system. We tested our water that day and have continued to test it, and we found nothing wrong with our water, but because of this, you know, extra safety measure and the fact that the Board of Health reached out to us, we issued an alert, but at no time was there anything in our water.
Can you explain backfeed?
So basically, your house, you have fixtures, toilets, sinks, we have pressure pushing water into your house, right? If the pressure in our system is low enough, there is the potential for water in your house to flow back into our system. Say we have an outage and we have no water in our pipes.
So, gray water?
Any contaminants could potentially get in our system. To be honest with you, our engineer and our water department felt that the person from the Department of Health that made the complaint, they weren't convinced that what he was complaining about was accurate. First of all, was his equipment calibrated? You know, there were all kinds of questions, but the boil water alert was an extra safety measure.
Yeah.
We didn't feel it was necessary, but rather than to get into a debate with the Board of Health, we issued it, and it was a very pinpointed. It didn't affect anybody other than really the area you lived in, but we honestly felt that it was a little bit overbearing and not necessary, but
Well,
yeah.
health is important.
Again, that day, we immediately brought water samples from different points of the town to a lab. It was tested, and we've done it several times since, and there was never a point where, you know, our water is chlorinated. So even in the worst case scenario, it's still chlorinated, so it would take a real drop in pressure for an extended period of time for there to be a danger. But again, to err on the side of caution, we went along with their request.
Well, thank you.
Yep. Okay,
And just for the fact, well, this is already up over 4 feet from this morning.
yeah,
So, you know, there is water going through.
Great,
It's holding.
right. So we have 2 tanks on La Vista that are equalized, so they're always at the same level. We have the capacity to have 28 feet of water roughly. Each foot of water is 38,000 gallons. Right now, we're at 4 feet, which is not where we want to be, but it's still substantial enough where there should not be an interruption of pressure, and we're hoping to get, really the comfort number is 10. If we're over 10 feet, we're in good shape. So we're hoping over the next couple of days to get back to that. We were almost at 10 feet before the water main break last night.
Will
It's
you
filling, it's
issue
filling back up.
a notification about when we can resume using water without restriction?
I will, if you could leave your name and your number, I will reach out to the water department tomorrow morning and get back to you with that. I think it might even be over at this point, but I don't, you know, I would feel more comfortable talking to Rob Ward, who's the head of our water department, to find out. So. All right, up next, department head update, we have.
Correspondence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is a letter from Latisse Buckner and the family of Bathsheba Young. It's to the town, or the Fallsburg Town Board. My family and I write to thank you for your kind recognition of our mother Bathsheba Young as a centenarian and longstanding member of South Fallsburg and the town of Fallsburg community. We applaud this initiative and hope to see many similar awards. History is important to any community. It holds the traditions, values, and achievements that are worth preserving for future generations of a local group of people. In many cases, we have seen in many villages and cities throughout the country and world, South Street, Waterfront, Ellenville, Borscht Museum, Harlem, Sugar Hill, and Schomburg Center, that history can also provide the city and town local economic redevelopment and revitalization in creative and imaginative ways. We extend our sincere appreciation to Councilwoman Miranda Behan for her role in honoring her mother, Bathsheba Young. Miranda was professional, personable, and helpful. She provided us with the information needed for Mom's presentation and answered any questions that we had. Her guidance was invaluable when our mother saw the sheet with her biography and picture and said, "That's beautiful." We support and look forward to the commemorative initiatives by the Town of Fallsburg Board that promote the places and people who contributed to Sullivan County's golden years. Please read this letter at your next board meeting, and that's from Lettice Buckner and the family of Bathsheba Young.
Great, thank you. All right, so up next, we have department head updates. We have Brendan Pavesi, Chief of Police. Before Brendan speaks, I just want to say that we're really blessed in the town of Fallsburg to have some incredible department heads that are dedicated to the town beyond what most of our residents even realize. And, you know, now that I'm in this role as supervisor, I get to talk to Brendan Sunday evenings, 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever there's an issue. We have a conversation, and Brendan's always there for the town and the residents. And before he speaks, I just want to say thank you for your dedication. I think the job that you and Mike and the rest of the police department do really keeps this town safe, and even communities, neighboring communities, Fallsburg is, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it.
Thank you. I won't be long. Things at the police department are going as expected, super busy. Our calls to service continue to increase year to year. This year we are well over 6,000 calls to service. Our arrest numbers have increased from 270 bodies of arrest last year to 270 this year at the same time. This increase is about 25%. Go back to the same time in 2024, the arrest number was 152, so that's a 77% increase. Does this mean that our town is less safe? No, it just means that there's an increase in population, and that causes more issues, and the officers are more proactive. In 2024, my officers wrote 295 uniform traffic tickets year to date. In 2025, the number increased to 906. This year, 1607. With that in perspective, the department only wrote 1,700 tickets for the entire year of 2025. So for anyone that says we're not doing our job, we're not out there, it's just fake news. A quick thank you to my court clerks, Tracy and Talia, who are overwhelmed with all the work we send them on top of all the other cases they handle. And I'd also like to tell everyone that doesn't know, I want to congratulate Talia, who had a healthy baby girl last week. Yeah. Our department had a recent retirement, some of you may know, of Officer Gonzalez. He closed the PD door for the last time on June 19th. We are expecting 2 more retirements early next year. We'd like to get at least 3 people in the police academy in October, so they are ready to go by next summer to fill these vacancies. Lieutenant recently upgraded our body-worn cameras. Our body-worn cameras now include 57 different languages for translation purposes, along with new tasers, the new Taser 10 model. The cameras and tasers are the most up-to-date you can get. We also received a virtual reality drone from the Sullivan County that allows our drone operators to stand outside and fly into a home or in front of a vehicle to check for a threat before sending our officers in. This came at no cost to the taxpayer. We are currently in the process of upfitting one of our patrol vehicles to house all of our drones, so they are ready to be deployed on a minute's notice. Our UTV is being equipped currently with a police radio, lights, and sirens to be more effective in doing its job. As many of you have seen, we have multiple officers out on foot and bike patrols on the streets and the rail trails. Lieutenant's in process of submitting a grant right now to New York. We hope to be awarded the max of $125,000, which we will use a portion of to put a new simulcast radio system in for our car and portable radios. With the topography of the town, like the supervisor was talking about the water issues, some sections of the town still have little or no radio service. I just want to thank Anthony Doretsky and Harris Seletsky from the Parks and Highway for helping us whenever we need them, whether it be the air conditioner not working in the station or a sign that I need put up, those guys are always there to help us. We recently had Officer Ginty graduate from the police academy. He won 1 of 3 awards that's given out by the academy, so we're real proud of him. He's finishing up his field training now, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned when he gets on the street if you see him. In closing, I would just like to put into perspective for the board and everyone that's here that the police department, again, is as busy as it has ever been, and we need to continue to grow to protect all of our citizens. Just for example, this past Monday evening, Monday, not Friday, not Sunday, there were 4 people working at the department. A part-time dispatcher who sat at the desk, a sergeant who was in a vehicle, and a 2-man unit because our Officer Ginty is still on field training with a senior officer. In their 12-hour shift from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., they answered 62 calls to service. This does not include a vehicle and traffic stop, because we don't record them, and it does not include all the paperwork associated with a normal day's work. But I want to thank the town board for their continued support and thank all of my officers for their continued effort to keep the residents of Fallsburg safe. I'm proud to be your leader. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on to our agenda. Item 1, motion to approve town board minutes dated 7/1/26.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Item 2, motion to approve payroll warrant dated 6/20/26 in the amount of $426,463.20.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Are we going with Miranda and Mike on that one?
I wrote down Jeff. and
No,
Mike.
Jeff and Brandon.
Okay.
Got the vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 3, motion to approve payroll warrant dated 7/1/26 in the amount of $421,757.33.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, motion to approve the employment of Xander Berrios as a seasonal laborer with a pay rate of $16 an hour effective 7/6/26.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one is the same.
No, it's not.
It's different.
Looks the same to me.
No, it's different.
One's Xander and one's Xavier.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
Oh, okay. I said Xavier for the first one. So,
Is
it's the
that
same pay rate, same thing, so let's do Xander for this one.
motion?
Motion to approve an employment of Xander Berrios as a seasonal laborer with a pay rate of $16 an hour, effective 7/6/26.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve supervisor signing the Refuah Health Center road agreement and all rights letter, if required, subject to approval.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, motion to approve the employment of Aiden Kirchner as a part-time laborer with a pay rate of $16.25 an hour, effective 7/13/26.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 8, motion to adopt local law number 4, amending the zoning map of the town of Fallsburg to change the zoning designation of SBL 17-1-30.1 and 17-1-31 from HR Hamlet Residential to a business zone area.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9, resolution number 54 of 2026, granting an easement to the New York State Electric and Gas Corporation for Frank Brown Road, Township Road, 17, section SBL 28-1-18.1.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 10, resolution number 55 of 2026, naming Stone Avenue, or Colell Circle, and Brownville Drive with the town of Fallsburg, SBL 47-1-72.2 wagon wheel.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jeff and Miranda.
All right.
Before you go to that,
Yes.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Maybe you could explain a little to everybody. I know you went to a meeting with NYSEG, because, you know, NYSEG is a big thorn in this town.
Yes.
They have not upgraded
You
the
do
way
have
they
one
should.
more motion to do. It's on the add-on.
Wow.
But anyway.
Okay, let's do the last motion, and then we'll have a discussion about that NYSEG meeting, and then we'll go into our friend Abe Berkovich's discussion. Add-on item, motion to approve Refuah escrow agreement in lieu of payment and performance bond, demolition and construction in a form approved by town engineer and attorney.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, as we talked about earlier and last week, the first issue that really hurt the town with our water supply was started with a brownout 3 weeks ago at this point. Hurt our wells next week coming into July 4th weekend. We had severe power fluctuations and spikes that burnt out a well that had surge protection on it, followed by, after we replaced that well pump, which was not an easy task on a Friday before 4th of July weekend. We actually had the owner and his son from the company that replaces our wells come up because their employees were all gone. The following day, we had a power outage that affected that same well and then several other wells in the town. So the CEO of NYSEG came to Liberty. There were several of us from the town of Fallsburg that attended the meeting. There were other officials from Liberty and the town of Thompson there. And, you know, they were great. They answered all of our questions. They talked about their plans for upgrading their service. They basically admitted to not having a sufficient infrastructure to handle the load. All of the issues we had were not storm related. They were based on the load, the brownouts. They couldn't handle the load, the power outage, where the wires actually got so hot from the amount of load they were, you know, holding, that they fell off the poles and caused the transformer to blow out. So they have all of these engineered plans to upgrade their service. But really what I took out of the meeting was none of that is going to happen unless they are granted a rate increase by the state, which they are in the process of negotiating now. They've done some upgrades when we had the transformer blowout, which happened in Mountaindale. They replaced it with the same transformer. When they energized that transformer, it immediately blew up, actually catastrophically sending shrapnel, exploded. So the second time they replaced it, they put a more substantial transformer in to handle the load. They're promising that if they get this rate increase, which obviously is, you know, I know my own electric bill at my house has doubled in the last few years, so it's really a burden they're looking to push on to their customers. But if they're claiming to have a robust infrastructure upgrade plan for Ferndale, the town of Fallsburg, and Thompson. So I know from my conversations with Assemblywoman Paula Kay that she is fighting for the upgrade without the rate increase. You know, whether it happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of people, including myself, that appreciate that NYSEG answers my calls, but are very frustrated with the service that they provide. And honestly, it's a foreign-owned company that is very profitable. So instead of them taking the profits and putting it into upgrading their infrastructure, in my own personal opinion, far too much of it goes out of the country. So time will tell. They got beat up. The CEO got beat up pretty well at this meeting, but we have to wait and see. We can make all of the upgrades that we can make, but if we don't have power, our water and our sewer are not going to work. So.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
As a resident?
Absolutely.
So my concern is, I have a lot of people who can't pay their water bill when they come in, you know,
You
seniors.
mean electric or water bill?
Water bill,
Okay.
seniors.
Mm-hmm.
This is another burden on the senior community. I mean, like, is that something that you can suggest to them, how we do in the assessor's office, you know, like, I mean, people who aren't, like, working anymore, like, I just feel there's gotta be an answer.
It's,
The answer is the Public Service Commission is bought and sold by NYSEG, and it's a farce.
No, I
And they're gonna
understand, I
jack
know how
the-
that whole
They're
thing
gonna jack
works.
the rates up. Everybody feels it, it's not just
But I
seniors,
just, I mean,
everybody
I'm just only
feels.
So
saying,
it's
is that
two-
like a suggestion that
it's
maybe they
two-part.
can.
It's two-part. This is the way they described it, and I believe it to be true. So your electric bill is really made up of three parts, but two main parts. You have the cost of the actual electric, which is not NYSEG. That is a federally controlled, rate that is controlled by the federal government, and then you have a delivery charge, which is NYSEG. third part of that is there's a small portion of your bill that goes to storm damage repair. It's like 5% of your bill. But they, you know, it's a substantial part of the bill is their delivery charge. And they're tying that directly to their ability to, you know, upgrade their own system.
We just have so many communities that are full out electric, like.
I understand.
You know, I just fear for what's gonna happen in the town of Fallsburg.
I am worried about that. I'm worried about, obviously, what we have control of, which is our own taxes, and we have control of that only so much because, you know, a lot of our expenses are out of our control. And then if you read the news, our county is talking about a potentially 30% increase.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about all of it, you know.
If I may add on this topic.
Absolutely, yes.
Can you come up here?
Sure.
You can come up and stay up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
okay. So this is our friend Abe Berkovic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go on, Alan.
Regarding the NICE, people have to call and reach out to the Public Service Commission. If there would be a you know, unified effort for seniors to keep on, it's on a website, you fill out a form and you have to voice, because if they get feedback, then they care and they look into it. At least they, you know, present themselves as they care. But if nobody's gonna, then they do what the company, whoever's in their ear
Right.
is basically what's gonna get done. That's one thing. So people, you know, you have to, these seniors coming in, they have to reach out to Public Service Commission. I had other counties where I did work and the utility didn't, and I reached out to Public Service and I got responses, you know, because they, at the end of the day, the Public Service Commission is the hand that feeds them. And if you complain to that, then they don't want, we should, you know, so that's important that.
That was part of their presentation. They were talking about like their satisfactory rates and how many people call in. They were saying that they had somewhere in the mid 80% satisfaction rate from their customers.
There's only two people holding.
Nobody calls in. And then on the second issue, you're saying the whole electric community, we have to speak to our politicians in Albany. I don't know if you know, part of this green.
I think that has been delayed and put off quite a bit, yeah.
But not now, they lost the appeal. So it's now back on the governor's desk. She just delayed it until the appeal, and which they lost the appeal. Now the governor has pressure to put it back, to comply, to put back the propane back.
Right.
So
that was the question that I asked, because I said, you're saying that your grid cannot handle what we have now, but there's a huge push, and I even thought about it for myself, to buy an electric car. You have a huge push for appliances to be electric. What if everybody went along with what you're pushing and everybody changed over? It would be that much worse.
So when they made the laws, the laws back in 2017, 2018,
Right.
their idea was that the grid is going to be upgraded.
Right.
And there's going to be more supply, but of course the law went into effect with a date that has to be implemented, but nobody paid attention to see if the grid is being upgraded, and they didn't upgrade anything on the grid.
Right.
So the governor, because it's a political issue, when it came out, so somebody ran to court, and you know, one of the unions, or I don't know if unions, or the Trade Builders Association or something, and the governor didn't want to strike the law, so he said, I'm going to stay it till the outcome of the appeal. Now the appeal came out, and it said that the law can go into effect. Now I don't know what's going to happen if the governor is going to implement the law or
It was 2030, wasn't it, the date?
no, this January 1st, 2026, any new home will have to be all electric. So it was stayed by the governor till pending the appeal. So you were able to get building permits even for propane.
So you can't put an oil furnace in a new home next year?
No, not
As soon as it goes back into effect.
Soon as
It was
it
a
goes into-
January 1 implementation, and I gotta tell you, the interesting part about it is, as the state is saying we're gonna make everything more affordable, they're imposing these onerous regulations that make everything less affordable, but they get credit for saying they want it more affordable. I can give you an anecdotal situation, not in this township. It was a private matter. I had a 9-lot subdivision, and NICEAG said, okay, if you wanna build them all electric, which was required, you gotta put $1 million into the infrastructure in the street. And they wouldn't even talk to them unless they put the $1 million on it. They said if you build it and use what's available in the street, you build 4. If you build propane with what's available in the street, you build 9. So these are things that are way beyond what the town has any control over. And what you're seeing, there's a big, big disconnect between what's going on in Albany and them saying affordability and then actually making it happen. I've also been involved in some projects where there were developers trying to make zero emissions, zero carbon neutral buildings. And it literally adds, on those buildings, on $1 million home, it added $250,000 in extra expense.
All in the name of.
All in the
Right,
name,
and
right.
right.
So there was their own private money, and, you know, they believe in that different money, that the problem is, the home that's $1,250,000 still appraises for $960,000. So you can't finance the thing. So
Right.
they're getting punished. They're getting punished for doing what the state is doing, and, you know, it doesn't exactly make it affordable, because $250,000 is an entire home, or a significant portion of the home, if you just allow it to build with convention. So that's what's going on in the background. The other thing is, you have, the solar is coming on, that uses up grid space. Dirty little secret there is, you have to balance solar with gas, because you have to have a grid. I mean, I'm just a lawyer, but last I saw, I mean, it's my own observations, and I may be wrong, the wind doesn't always blow, and the sun is not always out. So until they figure out how to store this, and how to get it from point A to point B, you know, there's a real problem. And there's a real disconnect, because there's really 2 separate sides as to where to go with it. And unfortunately, we're bearing the brunt at the local level of these things.
And the biggest joke of all of it, which came out in this NICEAG meeting, is, I want to say, and I don't remember the number, but 70 or 80% of the electric that's generated, that we use in New York, is generated by natural gas, you know, generators. So they say you have to have an electric home, that electric is being produced with natural gas. So it's
Well,
kind of
and there were also other problems with the system. In Canada, they were supposed to use clean hydro, which more or less is illegal in the United States, which is considered green, because it's so that was supposed to be piped down here. They had problems with the system, they kept it in Canada, and they were burning diesel in Albany to make up the difference. So all of these things are going on, it's kept very, very quiet, but it is affecting what goes on in these little towns with regard to it. I have commercial projects in other municipalities where, you know, they say we need, for a ice plant, we need electric, and they'll say, okay, you can give us $10 million or $20 million to upgrade the service, and we'll give you electric. So this whole concept is just not working. It's badly broken. And unfortunately, I think what you can anticipate is particularly around the edges. We had a presentation here with regard to the free electric car charging system. I don't know if you recall.
Yes.
But basically, they said with our grid, we can't get a supercharger. We could put in one here and there, and it will charge a car 1 hour to 30 miles. So you have to sit in the car, there has to be almost a whole day to get a full tank. So these are the things that are going on, but that's free. Didn't cost the town anything to put those in, but this is what's going on, they're popping up everywhere.
Right.
And those things are also using electric.
huge consumers.
Using electric, so it is what it is.
And nobody in Albany wants to touch it, because if you enter green, you have a chance to get reelected.
Right.
So the homeowners, the middle class, the working class is suffering immensely, and nobody says anything. Indian Point is offline, and there's
Which is the greenest, that's the greenest way to produce electricity.
And they didn't build a new power plant to replace it. All the municipalities, you know, in Orange, Rockland, they're banning battery farms, they're banning solar farms, you know, so it's.
And the EPA and the USDA now has realized that solar plants, they buy farmland. And now New York is precipitously losing farmland, which is kind of interesting, because it took a very long time for everyone to realize this, very, very quiet, but they finally realized it. that it's using up farmland, and the panels now that were initially installed are now needing to be replaced, and there's no way to recycle them.
It's very
So that's,
difficult,
so
yeah.
this is
Thank you.
very difficult, because we just, at the town level, have very, very little.
The farmers are selling
All right.
They're selling because they can't make money on their crops.
They're not, they're not allowed to frack, so
That's it.
they would be farming if they were fracking.
All right, what we got going on now?
So-
We'll let Nate
It's too late
read it.
for readings.
Read it,
You
Nate.
read it?
Read what?
The discussion item.
Oh, I thought I did read
I
that.
thought you did.
I guess I did.
Against fracking.
Discussion item, zone change for Landau Supermarket, SPL 52-5-2.1, from B to MX, presented by our friend Abe.
Thank you very much. Good evening. This application has been briefly discussed in the previous board. Basically, Landau's is on the border of the MX and is right now in the B zone, and it's on the border of the MX zone. So we're looking to move the line, basically, we're looking to move the line from the MX zone to cover the store of Landau's. Should be in the B district. So right now, all the stores on Main Street are in the MX zone. The supermarket itself is in the B district, and we're looking that this line should stretch to cover the store itself as well. So the store should be in the MX district.
What's the advantage?
Well, we're looking for we have a plan to reconfigure the whole corner. There's a nice corner on the other side where the restaurant burned down, and Mr. Landau owns a couple of stores in the corner. And in order to do a proper reconfiguration, we want to be in the same district. It helps with certain setbacks, etc.
Is the store gonna remain the same?
As far as
The existing grocery?
this is grossing, it's part of, we don't have exact plan yet, it's just an idea, we're playing around with different ideas, but the idea is maybe we'll turn around, maybe we'll make the entrance this way, but as far as the footprints facing the park, this is not gonna change. This area where we might connect Main Street and rebuild this whole corner, rip down and tear down this corner and reconfigure, make it a nice corner to match the corner on the other side, maybe make some apartments above the store. But we have some ideas, but in order to, this should be done, we need to have the store itself in the MX district. So I guess the thing that we're asking for is a recommendation to go to the planning board to review it. I think that's the.
This is a discussion that we've had over the last few years somehow.
Yes. So I think.
Under our code, it requires referral to the planning board for a report within 60 days. And just my quick observations, not only do you have the B district, but the property is bifurcated, part of it actually is in the MX district.
That, I believe, I have to double check, I believe that was corrected by the town.
That has already been corrected, so it's an older map.
Yeah, I believe that was been corrected, I'm not 100% sure, the map that I looked at.
And then
was
the
there.
MX district is the mixed-use district. It allows more flexibility than the B district with regard to combination of different uses.
Everybody okay with sending it to the planning board?
I just want to have a quick comment. So, in a way, I don't really see this as a zoning change. I see this as a kind of designation, right? Because you're looking to combine the parcels and combine the building, and what that will effectively happen is you'll have one building on multiple parcels and multiple zones, and you really can't have that, right?
It's
So the
not to
idea is
consolidate.
consolidate, right? So. Now, so then it's not necessarily a zone change, but a designation. We need to designate this new parcel, the mixture of these parcels as one zone, that makes sense. And is it the B zone or the MX zone? The MX zone is for Main Street, and I think a mitigating factor here is that this isn't a parcel that's in the middle of the block surrounded by, MX and business all around. This is on a corner on Railroad Plaza extension. So, in my opinion, it would make sense to make this corner MX as it,
That
which
is
is,
right now.
which is what you're seeking, at
The
the
corner
end.
is right
Already
now,
is.
it is with MX right now, the corner.
But, right, but you're looking to extend it out to the.
To the store.
To the store itself,
correct.
right, which makes sense, right, cause we're gonna have to choose one zone over the other, you know, what's the zone that makes the most sense? So I don't really see this as a traditional, typical zoning change, but more of a, what are we gonna designate this once it becomes confined? So, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We're all good?
All right, so make a motion to refer.
Motion to refer.
Second,
Well, I'll take,
Arnold,
Arnold and Jeff.
motion.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
It'll be on the, August
I
agenda.
think that's it, can we get a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Everybody already
All
sent
in
me?
favor?
I'll just
Thank you,
forward it on.
everyone. You look at this.
Hey, you can just drop off 11 o'clock.
And also, you guys are getting much